is pretty cool. My mother says it's very Eastery. So basically, all it is you make the Ida Jean block, you turn the focal image the direction that makes sense for your layout, and then you just sew it together on a diagonal angle. It is not uber duper difficult. You do not need to make one of the strips for the twin size. So I use the twin size for this, and if you just subtract one strip from all of it, I believe that you'll have enough to do the entire quilt this way. And that's that. Nothing else to it, really.
Okay, so we are doing another Ida Jean. This is going to be the last version of Ida Jean. I know I always talk about there being so many quilts to make to revisit the same pattern twice, and yet this is the third version. But this version is going to be a little different. We are using some Tula pinks. We've got some Fairy Frost here. We've got some Deja Vu. We have some True Colors. I think this is in the True Colors line, so we can always get this and this. And we are going to put it with the cameos. This one here is the Parisville part of this collection, and I wanted to use it so badly, and I really was looking at different ways to do this, and I looked at the pattern that she had for it, and I liked it, but I wanted to tweak it, but I wasn't sure how I wanted to tweak it, and that never came to fruition. But I have this, and I can't wait to cut into this. I bought tons of yardage of this because I'm going to fussy cut out these heads, and I just love it. I absolutely love this. And I've wanted like a purplish kind of lavender quilt. And while I was at the store, I ran into a guild member friend, and she was like, do this, do this, do this. And she's the only person in the world who I would let help me pick any kind of color story for anything. And I think we've come up with an interesting one. So this is going to be my focus fabric. And this looks like it is C in the pattern. So the focus fabric is going to be C in this pattern. For these cornerstones, I'm going to do B as in boy. That's going to be this fabric. And it's rainbows. So we will get different things happening. This one has the rainbow here where it repeats. And ooh, look at how off that is. Who cut that? My goodness. Somebody's going to get a lovely scrap when we freshen that edge up. But this is going to be B as in boy. This fabric here is going to be A. And then this fabric here is going to be the background. So the whole quilt will really look like mostly this with a little touch of this, and then the big focal head. And I'm curious to see how all of this is going to play out. It should be interesting because the way that we're going to change this is very different. We're going to do this pattern very, very different. In my mind, the pattern designer is my new best friend. And we talked about how I was going to change it. And she's like, what? What? But she gave me her blessing. So let's hope that this comes out kind of cool. And I will talk to you guys more about where I'm going with this after I cut all of this out. And this will probably take me a minute because, yeah, you guys see that there's a lot that has to happen here. A lot of fussy cutting is going to happen because we're making the twin size. So I made the tiny size, I made the medium, and now we're making the twin size. Boy, this is beautiful in person. The details, this bow, these highlights, and this turquoise color, it's just gorgeous. All right, I'm going to stop rambling and get to cutting. So everything has been cut. And for this one, it was really easy. Very, very, very easy. So we've got the focal ones, which I haven't done yet. Not a big deal. I will fussy cut that in a minute. But this is fabric A, fabric B, fabric background here. So for my first step, I'm going to grab all of my fabric A. I'm going to grab my fabric A, and I am going to sew every single one of these background strips, the smaller background strips, to an A. And then I'm going to press it toward the A. So we don't need these, and we don't need half of these. The more you do these, the faster you definitely get. And so all of these are going to be sewn to this. Easy peasy. I don't think there's anything that I really need to worry about in regards to this, like which direction, because this is definitely directional, but I think we're just going to let these chips fall where they may. So I'm just going to line these up and sew one to the other. Just sew down the side and then press the A. Okay, so we've sewn this strip here. These are our first strips. We've got an A and a background strip, and this is our first strip that needs to be subcut. And that's going to go in this area right here. Let me bring it in a little bit. So for this block, that's going to go in this right here and right here. And I want to be sure, I was trying to figure out how I can get these to lay the direction that I wanted, the shells. However, it's just not going to happen. So what I'm going to do is make sure that the round part of the shell is here and the round part of the shell is there. They'll be going away from one another, and we'll just let it be what it's going to be, because that's what's going to happen. And I've just got to be okay with it. So now we need to, I should show you guys what these look like subcut. So this strip gets subcut into this, into these little strips right here. See? They just translate right into that. And that's all you need for this first step. Then you're going to need to grab a B strip. This is your B. And this is your A strip. And you're going to be sure that the top of these fans is touching the B strip. And then you're going to grab a background strip. And you're going to sew all these together and press your seams going that direction. And after you do that, you're going to get a beautiful strip that looks like this. These colors are just gorgeous. Yes, it's a rainbow, so you already know that I love it, but boy, does it look good. It's so pretty. And then you're going to subcut these into a smaller size the same way that we did the other ones. Nothing difficult about this pattern. It's easy and it's fast. Sewing this together has been so quick. And luckily we don't have to worry about sewing together any of those subcut strips, because those subcut strips need to be sewn very, very, very precise. These were fine. So I'm going to cut a couple of these, and then we will put together, I'll show you what the block looks like and how we're going to do that a little differently. So now we've got a couple of those that are cut. The way that we're going to build this is going to go this way, and this is going to go that way, and then we're going to flip this so that this goes this way, and this will go this way. And that way, we definitely have the heads kind of both going out that way, and the same thing here. And I'm okay with that. Like, this is cool. I'm not gonna worry about it or flip out or anything like that. We are gonna be okay with this. Now, this is how the regular Ida Jean goes together. But I want mine on point. And what does that mean? That means that we are going to shift this sucker so that it goes like this. And this is how it's going to read. And we are going to put this down the center. And that's how we're going to work it. So, like I said, this is the orientation that we're going to build this quilt. We're going to put it on point. And we are going to stick the focal image right in here. Now, if I were looking at this straight, it's going to look a little weird, but it's actually going to be on this diagonal because that is how the fabric works. So I'm going to take these pieces and move them. I'm going to grab this fabric and show you how I'm going to fussy cut it. I actually purchased a ruler, this ruler here, that is the exact size of the square that I want the square needs to be. So all I have to do is find a head and get to cutting. Now these partial heads I'm not going to be able to use. And if you would like to purchase fabric where you are going to be fussy cutting, where you actually need the entire image, I suggest you check out Super Buzzy. Why? Because Super Buzzy cuts panels like fabric like this in panels, which means she is making sure that you get a usable head. You're not going to get that cut off silliness that sometimes you don't want. And she's one of the only companies that I know that does that. She doesn't just use it as yardage. She actually uses it as panels. So what I need to do is figure out exactly where center is and how I want to. I think that's good right there, but I'm going to need to put it in the exact same place every single time, or pretty much the same place. I mean, if I'm a little off, I think I'll be okay. So I'm looking, and it looks like I've got some places where I can line this up. Right here is the center roll of the hair. It's going through this little dot right here, and it looks like the tip is hitting that there. And I think that's a good place to chop this. Let's see if I turn it a little bit, if I sit that there. Again, I would like them all to be just about identical. So I'm just going to fidget with this a bit and figure out exactly where I want to take my cut, because again, I want them to be pretty much identical. So I want to hit them in the same place, and nothing is hitting any of these lines dead on. So give me a second. So I looked at this and looked at this, and at the end of the day, you know what, just get close, because I don't know that there's going to be a whole bunch of variation with the way that this is going to fall. So I've got the 45 right there on the tip of that bow. Down here, this cross is hitting a little bird, the center of a flower pretty good. And then as I go up some more, the tip of this is meeting the intersection of branches. If I can get that pretty good, then I think I'll be fine. So I'm going to take my cuts. And because this is the perfect size block for this, I'm not concerned about running into this or running into this. I will be able to use both of these with no problem. This one here is a partial, which when you see what I do, you might think that that's a good idea. And if I were to do some more math, it would be, but not today. We're just gonna go with this. So I like where this is. I'm gonna take a cut this way. Then I'm gonna take a cut this way. I love these Quilter Select rulers because they don't move. I'm gonna move my body this way and take this cut. And then this last one, I can actually walk around my cutting table and get it. But if you can't do that, there are definitely spinning mats and all that kind of stuff. Just get your cuts. And let's see if we got it. We did not get this here. And we need to get this one here. All right. Looks pretty good. I'm just gonna, there we go. All right. Now we have a fussy cut head, which is what we were after. Now let's bring in the rest of the pieces. So this is how we would build this block. Oh, I thought I ironed this. Hold on. So when I tell you this is a beautiful, just a beautiful block. If we were doing it regularly, we would do it like this, and I'm going to build it just this way so you can see it. We've got this guy going this way. This is just a regular variation of Ida Jean. Nothing special is happening. This is how we would build this block. And then this would go the opposite direction, which is perfect. This is what we want to do. The face is turned this way. Perfect, not a problem. All of the blocks should be built this way, but just remember that we are going to set it on point so that it's actually this way. When we sew it all together. If that is not just absolutely gorgeous, I don't know what is. So the first thing I'm going to do is sew this guy to this guy to this guy. So these two need to be sewn first. Then we are going to sew this guy to this guy and this guy to this guy, and then that block will be completely done. And we want all of our blocks to look just like this. So it might be easier for some people to view it this way. Might be easier to view it the way that it's actually going to be put together. Doesn't matter. This is what we're after. So I've just sewn these two, and I've actually pressed them towards the center. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to have to be flipping seams and whatnot once I start adding the blocks, but this block will be contained within itself and it'll be fine. I won't have to worry because these two seams will nest. So I'm just going to pin this right here to make sure these guys nest properly. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then I'm going to sew down this side and then do the same thing on the other side, and this block will be done. I'm starting to remember that for the first time I did this, I had to flip some seams or something. I don't know. But I pressed these outward and I pressed these inward, and everything nests just fine. When I get the following ones on here, I'll have to figure out exactly how I'm going to do what, but this looks absolutely gorgeous. And if you're wondering, it looks like this when it's the right side up, but it looks like this when we set it on point, which is what we'll be doing. Can't wait. Now we just have to do 25 more of these. So we are making up these blocks right here, and they're looking good, not a problem. But I was thinking, this is what we're going for. And as I was designing this and I was looking at the heads were going to be cut off here, 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 down the sides, down the bottoms. And the way that I'm going to do it is to actually cut it. We're not using off the setting triangles. We are actually cutting the blocks. I feel like people would be way more okay with cutting something that is not a full cameo. That's a lot to do. It's a lot of waste. And I know it's a lot of waste, and that's not my issue. But for somebody, they'd be like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. So I thought every place where it's going to be cut, because it was going to be weird cuts anyway, I thought I would change it out to this. And I am absolutely loving this idea. So I cut some squares, and I'm using them as a focal square as opposed to the cameo head. And I think that's going to be really cool. Now, the first block that I did, I pieced it going this direction. And I think I'm going to alternate between ones that go this direction or ones that, well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I will leave them all like this. We'll see. But depending upon which direction you go is the direction that the stripes will lay. So right now we've got them going this way. I don't know. I don't know that I care. I don't know that I want them exactly the same. Maybe I do, to give your eye some place to rest without, it's already a lot going on. You know what? Decisions have been made. We are going to piece them all with the stripes going exactly in this direction, and this is how we will see it when it is on the quilt. And I think they look so cool together. So the black and white stripes will be on the outside of the quilt, and the cameos will be on the inside. And this is how it's going to look. Yep, I like this. This is what we're going with. So now I'm going to make up all of these, and that'll be that. Then we will put this on point and trim it out, and that'll be a quilt. So all the blocks have been sewn, and it's time to make this into an Ida jean. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm doing this. This here is how I'm looking at it. I am just going like this. I know that this right here is a black and white stripe. That's a black and white stripe and going across the top. So they'll all start with black and white stripes. This one here, even though you can't see it, it's a whole block. So that's going to be one block, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 5 in the middle are going to be full faces. I want the face to be this way. So it's actually turned a little bit, but it is not going to be a big deal. Because in the pattern here, this would be this part, but not a big deal. They're all every other. So I'm going to sew this to this, and then I'm just going to keep on adding strips that are all this direction down this way. So the next one will go like this. And I'm just going to keep adding them, going down until I get one black and white on the top and 5 of these in the middle. And that's going to be my first strip. And then I'm going to go over to my next one, which will be this one here. And this only takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. These 2 will be black and white. These 3 in the middle will all be Ida jeans with the cameo. You'll see it all come together in just a moment because I'm going to show you how I lay it out. Okay, guys, forgive my design bed. I've had somebody sleeping in here lately. But anyway, I've got to lay this out this way. We've got to do this way for you guys to understand how to lay out this quilt because it's weird. So the blocks, you can see that I'm standing at the corner. If I stand directly in front of this, it's facing me. And I just counted, right? The black and white is going to be at the top. That's the one that's going to get cut. And then I just counted 5 down the center. And they've all been joined right here, right? Which is cool. And then it ends over here with the black and white. So I'm laying it at a diagonal angle. This is the entire length of this quilt because it is the center portion. So on either side, I'm going to show you guys how to lay this out. You would think that you would just start here, but no, we're going to start at this block right here and we're going to lay it out diagonally. And I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to pin. Okay, I've just laid out the next one, the same thing. It would be this, you know, if I was standing at the top of the bed, this is how it's going to look, which is cool. This is what we want. But when I start to pin, because remember, this right here is all going to get cut right down the center. All that's going to get cut a 1/4 inch this direction from the center. Not a big deal. But when I pin, don't start here because there needs to be a 1/4 inch that way. So what I want you to do is start where these blocks join, pin here, and then pin down and pin the rest of the way so that your blocks are all going to line up. So that's the important part. And then I guess I could lay out the other one so you guys could see it too. So I've laid out everything and I've decided how I'm going to do this. And I'm going to start here because smaller pieces are a lot easier to work with than larger pieces. I was going to start with the middle. That's just not smart. So we're going to do this to this first. And then we'll do that to that. And we'll go on from there. And then before we know it, this will be all done. So as you see, I've got this laid out. I'm going to pin here. And I'm going to pin right here. And then just let it naturally fall however it's going to fall. And then I'm going to trim this. I'm going to trim this right here, but I'm going to trim it a 1/4 inch this way. So that way when I put the binding on, it just, bam, it just hits right there. And I'm just going to trim that right down the diagonal. But again, a 1/4 inch. I'm going to leave on the side. I could do that right now before I cut everything, since I know exactly what it should be. I could. Let me think on that. So I've just pressed this corner piece, and this is the bottom left corner piece. So my first cut to trim this needs to be from here to here. I need to trim that at a 1/4 inch this way. And then my next cut needs to be from here to here. So I'm going to do just that. These came out really nice and good here, and everything is pressed pretty flat. So I am just going to grab a ruler and stop moving this, a long ruler, and cut it. Okay guys, you have to cut with courage with this. And luckily I did, you know, I'm good with that. But I had to put it on the left-hand side. I'm right-handed. This all works. Very excited to play with these. I have an idea of what to do with these leftover pieces. And here is the bottom left-hand piece now. It looks good. I've got a 1/4 inch left over from here, from all these points, from here, and from here. We will be fine. So now I need to this to the next piece. I could have, I see now, well, you know what, it is what it is. I'm thinking about these little pieces right here, but they look good. It's not going to be a problem. And this looks delicious right here. This, and I did starch these very, very heavily because now we have bias. So it looks cool. I'm going to go on ahead and sew the next piece onto this. I feel like I need to cut. No, I need to press this other side. So I did both of the angles. And we will just keep cutting this down. I know this one seems scary, but boy, is it pretty. It's so cool. So I just cut this piece. So in case you want to see what it looks like, ignore the blank, oh, I almost said the B word. Ignore the quilt underneath. Just check out this. It looks so good. So now I'm going to sew this to that and then trim that off with this and just keep going until I finish. But first I'm going to do the same thing this side as I did to that side. So the next step is to take this thing and then do it over there. And then I will sew this one to this one, so on and so forth. So it's all done. It measured as about 60 inches square, so it's pretty good size. Super pretty, super cute. You could build this out with borders if you wanted to make it larger. I'm pleased. It's cute. So this quilt is all finished. Here are the pieces that I have left over. These are the 4 corner pieces. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these, and probably about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have about 7 of those. And I have pretty much a whole strip left over here and a whole strip left over here. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with this. I could turn this into a really cute pillowcase. I could turn this into probably a baby quilt. I'm not sure how I would want to do this. I don't know if I'm going to just give this away or not. I don't know. So things that I would change about this, I would probably rotate the head. The way that I put the head in, it just reads a little differently than I expected. It's not a problem. It's still super pretty, but it's kind of not what I was envisioning exactly. So, and also, I would probably break this block down even more and turn these so that they are facing a different direction. The way that the fabric comes off the bolt, this was just a fast and quick way. But if I were doing it again, I might actually fussy cut it down some more, which would make this an even more couture type quilt. But that's really, really, really nitpicking. It's really, really nitpicking. Okay, let's just take a look at this really quickly. I thought I had an extra block that I pieced, but apparently it is gone. I don't know where it could have gone. Okay, I am all about full disclosure about whatever project I'm doing. Either it's awesome or it's a fail or whatever. And the reason why I think I'm not jumping up and down about this is because it didn't exactly do what we were anticipating, which is my fault. So I'm going to just walk you through it in case you care or in case you don't. This was the mock-up that she sent me when I was even talking about putting Ida Jean on point. If you look at this, the background is at the top here and at the bottom here, right, of the face. Then you've got the 2 right here, and then that creates a, here's something strange. I thought that I had done this block differently. I thought that I had turned the head improperly. Turns out it is right. This is exactly what is here. Oh, I see. This is actually turned on its side. This is hilarious. You know what? We are just going to call this, we're going to stick a fork in this and just say that we're done. I think the original way that I was looking at it was this way. And so now that this is turned because it's a square, I'm like, oh, it was right all along. No, I think I had been looking at it this way. That was the original way that I thought it was going to come out, which was going to give us these zigzags that come down this way. However, the way that I actually pieced it was this way. And the reason why it makes a difference is because this head, its orientation is, you know, this way. You know what? We are sticking a fork in this. We are going to be happy because a minute ago when I turned it sideways, I was like, oh, I did do it right. And I was all happy. I need to go get a life. I need to go make another quilt and move on from this. This is a beautiful quilt. Let me know if you guys would ever try something like this. I know that it's a little crazy when you have to cut with courage here, and I know that there's a lot of extra, but that extra could be something awesome. You just have to be creative. All right, guys, I will catch you on the next one. Again, I hope you enjoyed this project. It is a free pattern in theory. All I did was turn it on its side. Everything else is the same. All right, I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.